Hi there. Today I want to talk to you about a question I received recently from a listener and a person who actually watches some of these videos, a subscriber. They wanted to know how to meet startups that they can mentor. Before I get to that with you, I want to go through a couple of things, sort of questions you should be asking yourself or thinking about before you get to this idea of working and mentoring with startups. Okay. So the first one is, why mentor startups in the first place? Well, it's a great way to give back to your community. If you're really interested in helping promote the community that you're in, from a business perspective and promote entrepreneurship, whether you are a true entrepreneur or not, we're going to get to that in a second. If you're interested in promoting your own community, then working with startups is a great thing to do. Everyone out there has all kinds of experience they can add along the way to help these startups be more successful. The more people that are engaged in the startup community where you are means the more success those startups are most likely going to have. So it's a really good reason to mentor these startups, just to promote and help your community. Now, another reason to help these startups is it helps you learn as well. So let's say you're not currently what you might call an entrepreneur. Maybe you've never had your own startup idea or never even really gotten a startup off the ground. Well, working with startups is a great way to learn about how the industry works in the first place. You get to learn all kinds of things, all about startup funding, what minimum viable products are, how the process works, what a business model canvas is, all these different things. It's just an opportunity for you to learn, even if you're not an entrepreneur, if you're just a day job type person. It's a great chance for you to learn how the industry works and learn all kinds of new skills along the way. So, a couple of things to think about in terms of why mentor startups in the first place, right? Now, what do you do if you want to mentor these startups and you have absolutely zero experience in the startup industry? Well, again, I said it a second ago. Everyone's got something to add. So maybe you're a professional in marketing. You know, a lot of the startups out there are made up of two different types of people. They're either a technical founder, so they understand programming or science or something like that, or they're a business type founder who understands business models and those types of things. It's very uncommon to find a startup founder who has both sides of that coin covered. And that's why you oftentimes will see partnerships between technical co-founders, and then they go out and find a business co-founder, or flip that, you've got a business co-founder like I was, who had no technical expertise and needed a technical co-founder to code my first startup idea. And so I went out and found my former partner, Frank Podlaha, great guy. So you see it two different ways. And so if you don't have any startup experience, that's okay, because these startups all need all kinds of experience to help them. Even if they have both the business side covered and the technical side covered, they could still use your expertise. So here's a good example. One of the places a lot of the startups that I work with fail, or they sort of fall down, is with their marketing. They make bad assumptions about marketing budgets, where they're going to put that marketing budget and those kinds of things, and they just don't understand target customers and these types of matters. So what if you have marketing experience? You know, even if you've never had your own startup, that marketing experience can be very helpful to startup founders if you'd like to mentor them. Now, does it help if you understand how the startup world works? Absolutely. But if you've never even been involved in a startup, you can still add a lot of value to a startup in marketing and legal and accounting and all these other things that aren't typically part of a startup world or startup idea. Your expertise can really, really come in handy. So if you have zero startup experience, it's okay. Does it help? If you have some, of course it does, but it's really okay if you don't have any startup experience. It's still great for you to get involved. What I would suggest there, if you do, is just make sure you stay in your lane. Don't try and go in and mentor a startup on an area where you can't add high value and you are not an expert in your field. That's the worst thing you can do, is go in trying to play yourself off as some marketing expert and you just don't know much about marketing. You're going to waste their time and their money and their energy. So stick in your lane, but yes, you can add value if you've never been involved in a startup in the first place. All right, so let's get to it. So how do you find startups to mentor in the first place? Well, it's just like trying to find investors for a startup idea. It's all about who you know, getting out and networking in your community and getting around where these people are and offering your expertise to help them out. So examples, chambers of commerce. Startups don't necessarily hang out at chambers of commerce, but oftentimes they may be a member of a chamber of commerce. And so you can go there, go to local networking events, go to local pitch competitions. If you know investors in the area, ask them, do you know any startups that can use someone with my expertise, could use someone like me to mentor them in a given area? I can assure you the startups in your area, especially the ones at the early stages of development, are looking for mentors to help them and provide expertise in different areas, right? So it's just about getting out and networking, getting around where these folks hang out, like pitch competitions, accelerators, incubators. You can even find them online. So you can be on social media sites and search for startups in your area, or even, let's talk about that for a second. Does a startup have to be where you are for you to mentor them? Absolutely not. I've mentored startups across the globe, all the way around to China and France and other places, because I connected with their founders online. So you can do things like we're doing here. You can use video and Zoom and all these different things to mentor them. So just go out and network and search for these people. I assure you that they are looking for people like you who have expertise and knowledge that they can really benefit from. Now, one more thing before I let you go, what do you expect in return? Well, hopefully you're willing to spend at least a little bit of your time volunteering your time and expertise on a pro bono or free basis to help some of these startups. I'm not suggesting that you spend hundreds of hours of your life helping these startups for nothing in return. But startups oftentimes are cash strapped and don't have a lot of capital to deploy or to pay people. So be willing to spend some of your time volunteering and adding some expertise. So one way you can do that in my local area, we had just had our pitch competition here locally 2 weeks ago. And over the weekend, those startups were ramping up their pitches and trying to work through various things of their business model. And so what a lot of the volunteers would do with different expertise, legal, accounting, marketing, all this different stuff, they came in on the weekend and would spend a couple of hours. Maybe you're really good with numbers. So those folks would come in for a couple of hours and help with the financial projections that the startups were doing. Again, it's not hundreds of hours of volunteer time, but it's a few hours here or there. And of course, you get what you give. And so helping these folks is a great thing, again, for your community, a chance for you to learn, and also a chance just to network and learn what they're doing in case you do want to work with them on a paid in a paid way down the road. Now, there's other ways you can be compensated for your time mentoring startups, but I really recommend and ask that you don't go out looking to mentor startups hoping to get something in return, especially if you're new to the industry. If you've had a few exits as a startup founder, then it's probably worth you mentoring them and getting something in return. But if you're new to it, just go out and volunteer and learn how things work. There are ways to get paid. You can turn some of these into gigs later down the road when these startups get funding, and maybe you helped them with some early marketing and now they're ready to hire someone and pay you. Or you could mentor these startups. Maybe you become part of their advisory board and you take an equity stake in what they're doing. And that's another way to get compensated. Jason Calacanis writes a great book about becoming an angel investor and how to do that. It's not always about putting hard-earned dollars into startups. Sometimes you can invest your time in exchange for equity to work with a startup. Again, if you're going to do that, I ask that you please have the right type of expertise and you really have the best wishes of that startup at heart. Don't go into the industry just trying to get equity in various companies as a way to sort of become an investor. So lots of different ways to do it. That's how you can go about meeting these startups. Again, it's all about your network and getting out in front of them. You can do that in person, which is always lots of fun, but you can also do it online. Hope that information helps you. Have a great day.